Hi, everybody. Kris Vallotton here. Hey, this is like 2 times in a row. It's so nice to be back and feel healthy again. And we're going to have Havilah Cunnington on here in just a few minutes. And I hope that you're enjoying the Father series that we've been doing. And our book comes out in just another week or so. We're super excited about that Uprising book. It's got a beautiful cover. Is that pretty nice? Yeah, it looks backwards on there, but it's Uprising, the epic battle for the most fatherless. And we are in the reconstruction of the family. You know, the world is deconstructing the family, and we are in the reconstruction of the family. Havilah, you looking so good.
It's amazing what a ring light can do.
Yeah. But see, I'm all natural. I don't have.
I know. Well, you know, light. I like to say light covers a multitude of sins.
Like, yeah. Well, no, this is no makeup. Can you believe it?
You know what? You looked great.
Yeah.
You look great. Really. Actually, you're aging well, Kris. As much as you have going on, oh my gosh, you should look ancient.
Hey, thank you for being on the Uprising Father, talking about fathering and mothering. And you've been married. How long have you been married? Are you having an anniversary today or yesterday?
It was
She froze. Oh, you froze. Havilah froze. Look at that. But she froze so beautifully. She just looks like her mouth is open, and it's just so beautiful.
Am I still frozen?
No, you're unfrozen now.
Okay, good.
But
I got off my Wi-Fi.
I was like,
you know what? 17 years.
Today?
On Sunday. And I just want to say it should be like, instead of happy anniversary, it should be like, you congratulations, it's another day you didn't kill each other.
Oh, no. I know you. I know you. You have a great relationship.
I do. I love my husband.
No,
he has a good sense of humor. That's why I can say that.
And Havilah is she's our, I was going to say children's pastor. Havilah's our pastor. I've known Havilah since she was 16, I think 16, maybe 15 years old.
Yeah.
You have 4 boys, and so you are a mom of 5 boys.
I am. It's wild over here.
Share a little bit about yourself first before we go on.
Yeah, so I live in Redding, California. I live where Kris does, and I'm a part of Bethel Church, and I am the women's pastor. I always say I took the job so I could be around more women. That's the reason I took being a women's pastor, was I just want people to look at me in the eye and talk to me and laugh at me and tell me I'm cute. But no, we live here in Redding. Redding, we've almost celebrated 10 years. We've been here, and I run a nonprofit called Truth to Table, where we teach leadership lessons and lifestyle tools and Bible studies and all kinds of stuff from my kitchen table. And then I get to travel around the world and share the good news of Jesus. And really, I get to be sent from, I think, one of the most incredible churches on the face of the earth, if not the most incredible church. I really do believe that. That's right. And I often say that, like, when you have been in certain families and you find a good family, you want to hang out with that family. And so we live here. We have 4 boys. We just bought a house with 20 acres. It's crazy. Ben and I looked at each other yesterday and said, I don't know if we're land people. So who knows what that will look like, but yeah, that's what we do.
You got to plant that all in lawn and keep it up. You know, you got to be.
I know.
Have a real life.
I know. I look at my yard, it's a mess. And I just think it's just a good reminder that I'm in process. That's what life looks like in our lives. We're in process. But yeah, it's a little wild.
Havilah, you have a great dad. And what did you learn from your dad about raising sons? I know you have a great mom too, but I was just thinking about because we always think about, moms, raising daughters, but it's, you have a great mom and dad.
I do.
Your dad is he's Italian. He's got a lot of spunk.
He does. He really does. He's that Italian leader, which I love. But he I grew up in a home, I didn't have brothers. So I would say the only male representation that I had in my life was my dad. And, I'm very grateful for who he was and who he is today. I learned through him that he could be masculine and yet emotional. He could be sensitive to the things of the spirit. He was, I like to say, a feeler. He was a crier. He felt the spirit in different ways. I also learned that he could be, he was just such a good dad in the way that he was available to me, which I think, one thing my dad always did was anytime I called him, he would pick up the phone. And it didn't matter if he was in a meeting or if he was somewhere else, he would say, I can't talk right now, but he would pick up the phone just to say, I can't talk right now. And just that availability, I think, created a confidence in me that I could have a father God that was available to me when I needed him. And my dad always, no matter what, will pray for you. If you give him a need, he's going to pray. He's going to take you to prayer. And so I learned a lot. I also learned my dad was a risk taker. And I think living in a home with a risk taker allowed me to take risks and understand that kind of concept that, my dad he was a congressman's son who was raised in a Catholic boarding school, who ended up being an atheist because of the Catholicism and things that he had dealt with, ended up being an atheist for 7 years, chanted to Krishna, Buddha, became suicidal at one point in his life, cried out to Jesus, whichever one of you was real, Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, reveal yourself to me. And he got radically saved by walking into a little church in a town called Timbuktu in California. Yes, we have a town called Timbuktu. And he got radically saved. So I lived also in a home with a dad who understood salvation. He understood what Jesus does when he comes into your life. So there was a lot of, I think, lessons that I learned. And one of them was, I think, when I saw that my dad loved God and was a teachable man, that's what I looked for. And that's what I married, because that was one of the qualities that I was looking for in a husband and a good man.
You have 4 boys. Okay, I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
What's the toughest lesson that you've learned in raising young men?
Well, first, I think raising boys was shocking. Like, utterly shocking. I had guy friends. I had a lot of guys I was around, but to be in a boy land, a man land, like I always say, I had to learn to talk man. And I know culturally everyone's saying, it's all just, mushed together. It's the same thing. And I just wholeheartedly, and I know you and I agree on this, it is men are not women and women are not men. And it doesn't mean we don't have similarities and there's not maybe things that we lean toward, but for me, I was shocked. I was shocked at how uncomplicated men are. I'm not like, wow, I realized that the only complicated thing in my life had to do with being a female or being around females. That was like shocking. I also was shocked at how much the boys wanted to hurt each other and like practiced hurting each other. And I was shocked that boys don't have to talk all the time. They didn't need that. I always said this, and we've laughed about this, but if a man is not okay, it's usually a basic need: food, sleep, nature, don't touch me, whatever it is. If a girl isn't okay, she doesn't even know what it is. So you're not going to find out yourself. So I would say that's been surprising to me. I have learned to talk boy, and it is a very different language.
You and Ben are great parents. You guys play different roles in the life of your boys. You play lots of overlapping roles, of course. How would you see your role in raising your 4 boys? When you watch Ben with the boys and fathering and yourself, how would you define like your specific role? In other words, not the places where you overlap, but things that you do that Ben doesn't do. And what things do you see that Ben does that you maybe you're not good at, or it doesn't come natural to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a mom tells you that you belong. And I think a dad, right? I think someone else has said this, but a dad tells you why you're here. And so I noticed that I can pull my boys in and I can just say, you're wanted, you're loved, you belong. But I can't give them that this is why you're here. And I think it was John Eldridge, but somebody wrote about that. A woman cannot call masculinity out, that a masculinity must be drawn out by another man. And that doesn't mean it has to be a dad. It doesn't mean it has to be their biological dad. So I want us to be clear when we're talking about this. But men raise strong men. Women raise strong women. And we need both, but there's a unique narrative. And what I found is that I don't always know how to raise a boy to be a man because I've never been a man. I don't know when they're playing me or when they really need me. And if it was my daughter, I would go, oh, no, that's drama, or no, I know what that is. And I noticed that same gender parents tend to be a little bit stronger with the gender that they're raising. And I think it's because we don't know. We don't always know. So for Ben, I would say Ben has a way of calling our boys to rise to the occasion. He calls them out as men. He challenges them. He'll tell me this isn't going to work for them long term. And I don't know that. I'm thinking it's fine. He's like, nope, this is not going to work for them. I remember one thing he'll say is, I'm like, oh, they're tired. The boys are tired. And he goes, it's okay to be tired. They still have to work. Yeah. And just that concept, you know, like as a girl, we're like, oh, they're tired. They should go to bed. We should let them relax. And he's like, no, they just because they're tired doesn't mean they don't know how to work, and just understanding that. So I have found, I have a 15-year-old, actually a 16-year-old as of yesterday, a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 10-year-old. I have found that there are moments when I have to back up and let him parent and lead them in a way that I cannot do. And I was talking to Lisa Bevere a couple weeks ago about this because I said, you know, when Ben and the boys get into it, I don't know what to do. And she said, stay out of it. And I said, but I want to get in and help. And she said, the moment you interrupt your husband, their dad, and your boys is the moment you tell your boys they don't have what it takes to match his manhood. You're actually not helping them. You're interrupting their ability to rise to the occasion and become a man. And so I have very great, like recently more and more, just shut up and let him talk, let him do what he needs to do, whether I think it's too strong or not what I would say or not what I would do, but realize that's not my role in their life. That's his role.
I remember as you were saying that, you know, we had an adopted son. We have an adopted son named Eddie. And when he was about 17, he decided that he didn't want to keep the house rules. And he said, well, I don't want to do that. And we said, okay, well, that's fine. You can't live here if you're not going to keep the house rules. And he's like, well, that's fine. So he came home from school and I had his bag packed and I had the front deck. And Kathy was in the bedroom freaking out, crying, oh, no way. That kid never had it so good. Trust me, he'll be back. He grabbed that suitcase. He walked out the front. You know, I told him, hey, give me the keys to the car. Like that car comes with the family and you don't want to be part of the family. Yep. So there he was. He walked down the street. He was gone about 20 minutes. And then pretty soon there was a knock at the door. He knocked. He knocked as if I'm not part of the family. And I'm like, yeah, would you? I'm okay. I'll keep the rules. I'm like, great. Take your suitcase upstairs and unpack it. the whole deal of hey, we got a lot of women who are watching this, and they don't have, you know, they don't have husbands. I mean, single moms are epidemic in our country. What would you say to the woman who's watching, going, great, I know my kids need a man, but I'm not married, and I feel a little bit doomed. What advice would you give?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know, we never want, you know, we can only take with what we have. So, you know, yeah, I wish that I had, you know, it was a better education, or I wish I had this family, or I wish I had this opportunity. So I do think that wherever we are is where we are, whether we like it or not, whether we know, and the Lord knows that wherever we are, whether it's by chance or by choice, God doesn't parent us or lead us by the person that he wanted us to be or have or do. He parents us where we are. He goes, okay, now that you're right here, I have a way to get you where you need to go. So I want to speak, first of all, hope to you. And I want you to know that my father, who was alienated from his own father, he became an atheist. His mother prayed for him, and he gave his life to Christ on Mother's Day. And he attributes it to a praying mother who believed for her son. So I want you to know that wherever you are, number one, God knows where you are, and you need tools. And I always say it this way, and you and I understand this. I dealt with postpartum depression 3 times and had to go through recovery, which meant I had to go to a counselor and I had to get on medication. And I had to do 6 months, and I'm an ordained minister. I wasn't just, trying to take meds and live my best life. I was fighting the whole process, but the Lord sometimes lays you down. And I remember coming out of that season and thinking, what was it that helped me? And I got the phrase, you need to build your team. And I think whatever vulnerability or lack or whatever we have in our lives, you have to build a team. So your team might be your pastor, it might be your counselor, it might be another parent, it might be a grandparent, it might be a neighbor, but you build your team. And so what I would challenge every woman that's facing this is, it doesn't say the bio dad has to give masculinity. And I just want to challenge you on that, because sometimes we think, and let me tell you, if you had a bio dad, let me tell you, at least half of the women watching this that have bio dads are like, can you get my husband to get it together? So this is not like, if you had a dad, it'd all be perfect. It's not. There's a lot of dads that are in the house that don't have it together either. So what you want to do is get them around men that see them. So things like getting them to camp, youth camp, or some kind of camp, getting them to youth group, getting around church environments or faith environments, or getting them a coach, having them play sports, getting other men in their life that allows that masculine voice to speak to them. And so that's your job. That's your job. It doesn't mean you force them. It doesn't mean it has to be ideal, but your job is to get them in the environment, and then you trust the Lord that he'll make the connections when necessary.
That's so wise. Havilah, thank you so much for your wisdom. I love you so much.
I love you.
Favorite leaders. And I want you to know that you can be part of this. You can pre-order Uprising. By the way, that's how you get the Father series, is you pre-order Uprising. There's no other cost for it. There's 5 sessions you'll get for free. And if you get on, let me see, I'm reading it now, theuprisingbook.com. Theuprisingbook.com. It'll tell you how to register, and all you have to do is just pre-order the book. Havilah, thank you very much for being on.
And Kris, I want to say, I'm so grateful for you. I can't think of a better man to write a book on masculinity than you. I cannot think of a better man. So the idea that you've written a book on this, to me, is I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I cannot wait to read it, to get our boys to read it. I just think this is a timely prophetic moment for our generation. And I'm so grateful that you took that on. That's not an easy message. And I'm so grateful and I'm thrilled. I think this is a life-altering, like culture-changing topic that we need to be serious about. And I'm raising 4 boys. And I'm desperately in need of resources that parent our boys and nurture our boys in healthy masculinity. So I cannot wait. I'm really excited about this.
Thank you, Havilah. Here's the book cover. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere great books are sold, including Bethel store. God bless you. Thanks, Hav.
Love you. Bye.